Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Well, just because I can. And I continue with Kingdom Come Deliverance, Blind. Now, I have some trading to do here at Rattay. So let's get on to that. I just want to take a look at the map to see if there are any quest givers nearby. But it doesn't seem so. Unless I actually need to talk to a quest tipster before it reveals any quest givers. So I will do that just to be sure. Because there's one of them at the inn, which is pretty close in itself.
I'll be right back with that.
God grant you health. How may I help you?
Do you know if there's anyone around here who could use my help?
Aye, there could be something for you. It might not be to your liking, though, on account of it's the executioner who's looking for someone. At least, that's what I've heard. Of course, folk here don't want to have anything to do with him. Only the more they avoid him, the more they gossip about him.
Okay,
Good luck, then.
that's cool. I will visit the executioner to ask what this is about. Sure. So I guess it does work this way, because the quest tipster has disappeared from the tooltips, and instead a quest marker has appeared right here. So I have to remember to periodically talk to those quest tipsters. But for now, I do have some trading to do.
Not yet.
I do have quite a lot of loot that I gathered from various bandits. Also, I should probably go to sleep. It's pretty late. I will sleep by the gates.
Saint Joseph, I implore you. The Lord has been etching your fortune into your hand your whole life, Goodman. It's a secret script that few know how to read, but I can read it for you if you will.
Why not?
Okay, let's talk to the armor. He has a lot of coin. Okay, those brigandines are actually worse than the Lords of Lipa breastplate, and they are the most expensive item he has. I guess those pauldrons are better than the Lords of Lipa ones, but the difference is negligible. It's like 1 point. So there's not much I can really buy at this point. How do I check? Okay, so my current one has 28 stabbing and 61 slashing. Rather 61 blunt, right? Because it's a warhammer. 28 and 61. 3 and 69. Okay, so this is actually worse, because my current warhammer is more versatile. Because I can also kind of stab with it. It doesn't do great damage, but compared to this, it is pretty respectable. Well, I guess he doesn't sell that many weapons other than swords. Although an axe would be a weapon to consider maybe, because it has a good variety of damage types. And it would be easier to cause bleeding with an axe as opposed to a warhammer, but obviously I have a bit of a lower skill with axes. I think I'll stay with it for now. Okay, so I think I'll go see the executioner, and then I have like a bajillion side quests, which I think I will do just now, because I'm supposed to report to Sir Radic, but hopefully he can wait a bit. Regarding the counterfeit groschen, I have a letter from the captive bandit. So let's take a read at that. My dear T, when I discussed with you our currency reform, I certainly did not anticipate how the situation would develop. On no account did I consent to the coin in question being put to the purpose of recruiting bandits and mercenaries, thereby giving rise to a widespread slaughter and unrest in the province. It hardly bears thinking about what might occur should anyone connect us to the massacre at Neuhof. I hereby give notice to you, Honorable Sir, that I do not intend to participate in any further enterprises with you or your resources. I urge you too to proceed with greater restraint, for it has come to my attention that a certain German knight from Passau has been making enquiries in the region about the counterfeit groschen. This knight, I am told, is presently staying at an inn in Sassau. There are too many pairs of eyes turning in on our direction. I hope and trust you that you shall understand and respect my decision to terminate our collaboration. My deepest respects, S. I don't really remember anyone with a name starting with a T, and I doubt this is written by the King Sigismund. That's a letter between two people of roughly equal standing, right? Rather than a king and his subject. Okay, so if I cross the bridge right here, I just need to get through the forest to get to Gallows Hill, so it shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Is he still asleep? Well, I guess he, of all people, might actually afford to sleep longer, because I imagine he's only going to, like, the only work he has to do is usually being called for in advance, right? So you know, it's not like he works 9 to 5 as an executioner. Oh, a crying woman. Is there a crying woman anywhere? I didn't see anyone like that. There's a dog, that's for sure. But what about a crying woman? I must say, it's pretty weird to enter somebody's home and start asking about a crying woman whom I have never even seen. Oh, I guess that's her.
What am I to do? Leave me be. What am I to do?
Okay. Find out about the weeping woman. Sure. What could you train me in? Ah, you can train my dog. Sure, why not, actually?
Can you help me with training my dog?
Certainly.
I'd like to hone my skills.
All right, but it'll cost you.
Isn't that quite a lot? What about this?
I'd almost shake on that. Almost. Agreed. Now listen up.
Do you know there's a girl crying on your doorstep?
I executed her husband.
What? You killed him?
No, not like that. It was done lawfully. She knew he had it coming.
So then, why?
Folk would like to drive her out of town. She has no one here. For a while, I thought I could take care of her, but it wasn't to be.
Why?
Do you really have to ask? I can't even go to the tavern for company, and no one would sup their ale with me. And when I die, they'll probably push me into a hole with a stick so as not to touch my corpse.
Is it really that bad?
I'm not complaining, mind. It's a well-paid job, if you don't mind being a pariah. They might look sideways at you, too, just for talking to me.
And that's what she's afraid of?
Exactly.
Doesn't that crying girl have any kin?
None she knows of. Poor lass. You could help her, though, if you wanted.
Me? How?
Elishka has no family, but her husband might still have some kin. Nobody will talk to me, but you could find out more.
How can I find out if there's any family?
Try asking Elishka herself. She knows a thing or two about them. But, in the end, you'll still have to go and find out something from the Bailiff, or from the records at the Rathaus.
What would she have to put up with if she stayed with you?
A lot. I can't deny. Most of the townfolk wouldn't give her the time of day, at least not in public. If we had children, it would be even worse for them.
That doesn't sound like a very happy life.
It's not all bad. It's a well-paid job and even respected in a way. And when someone needs a bone set, all of a sudden they forget your reputation.
Interesting. So I guess the executioner is also like partially treated as an emergency medic because obviously being an executioner, he knows a lot about human anatomy, because to successfully torture someone, you have to know quite a lot about how the human body works, and what kind of abuse it can put up with, but you can use that skill sort of the other way around to actually help people, and it works in reverse as well, I guess, where sometimes in fiction people with like extensive medical knowledge are quite good warriors because they put their medical knowledge to like applied use by inflicting the most debilitating wounds.
Why do you want to find her family anyway? Don't you want her to stay here?
I do. She's a splendid woman, but I'd never want to keep her here against her will. The life I lead isn't for everyone.
All right. I'll see what I can do.
My thanks, if only for the thought.
Herman sent me.
What a way to end up.
Don't despair. It could be a lot worse.
Only death could be worse, and I'm not far from it.
Can I ask about your family?
What do you want to know?
Don't you have any kin left? Someone who'd take you in?
No. They all died of the plague. And then I ended up with that man of mine. I always knew he'd get strung up one day.
Didn't your husband have any kin?
Maybe. He mentioned some, but we never went to see them.
Is that all you know?
Yes. But if they're anything like my old man, the bailiff and his catchpoles will know about them.
That's all I need.
Okay, so I'm going back to the town then. Sure. It's not far, so it's not an inconvenience really. Well, I just trampled like 2 people. To be honest, if trampling people with your horse was a crime, then I would have been to jail like 100 times over. Who are you?
God's blessings.
Oh, I guess you're just
God be with you.
one of the regular Skalitz people.
I'm glad to see you. Master Bailiff, is there anything of interest going on here?
Nothing of interest to me, thank Christ.
Do you know Elishka, the wife of the man who was hanged recently?
The one that's with the executioner now.
That's her?
Life can be cruel sometimes.
Right. And do you know if she has kinfolk somewhere around?
How should I know? Now, if you don't mind, I'm very busy.
Okay, my persuasion is quite good actually, and his is like 1.
Bailiff, surely you know me well enough to know I solve more problems than I cause.
You're right, I've heard some reports. Talk to the scribe.
Where can I find him?
He's suffering with some ailment, so no doubt he'll be lying in his chambers above his study, on the top floor of the Rathaus. See you later.
Okay, top floor you say. Okay, this lock is too difficult. I am sort of considering picking those locks just for practice. Nobody seems to be looking. And to be honest, even if they are, at this point I can easily afford a fine. Can't open the very hard ones though. Okay, it's going pretty badly, which is interesting because usually I'm okay, she definitely saw that, right? Oh. Okay, I guess she didn't question why it was suddenly unlocked. Above his study though, so where exactly? Like the Rathaus is actually quite big, so I guess it's right here. This definitely looks like a place where Scribe might be. What with the amount of papers. Okay, I do remember there are people in those rooms, I think. Okay, I guess that's the Scribe. Would he hear that? He's pretty close. But I guess he's also ill, so he might not hear that. Okay, that's just a bunch of his clothes. There's a random book on the table. Executioner's Book of the Town of Rattay. In the year of our Lord, 1390, and years thereafter, under the reign of King Wenceslas IV in Bohemia, Lord Henry of Lipa being the sole elder of the province and punisher of rebels against the crown, in this book has set down the names of such persons and the manner of ordeal to which they were righteously put ere their assisted departure from this world at the hand of the executioner. Jan the Miller of Pakov, or rather Patsov, or Patsov, perhaps, because obviously those are all either anglicized or Germanized names of towns. For example, Skalic is actually Skalice in Czech, and like I think Talmberg is written with a K in Czech. and then Sassau is a Germanized version of the town's name. So Jan, the miller of Patov, told that Jenek Jacques of Pozna, with another called Holfek, they did rob the mill in Bożenów, and in the act did they leave behind no living soul. And what they did spend at the tavern of Peter in Pozna. The same Jan did state that they did sell the iron stolen from the mill to one Handel called One Eye, a carpenter who dwells next to Patov. All this he did declare without being put to torture. Jan the miller was a commoner, and as a commoner is put to death by hanging in Rattay. Young Privek Shibel told Marshik, brother of Gudmund Hinkov of Velimovic, together with Zadakov of Bohov and Hlinka of Sheshitz, they did commit robbery. The same Pribek did state that the same Marshik did steal the sword of Maciek the carpenter and did take it away concealed beneath his cloak. The same Pribek did tell that Martin, called Blackbird of Scheisitz, did steal under the cover of darkness 2 plows with their plowshares in the fields and did sell them to Nicholas. Pribek Shibal did know of this theft and did not report it. For abetting the thieves, he shall receive 30 strokes of the cane. Telets did confess that he did steal a woman's cloak from goodwife Zorena, and he did sell it, same in Benešov. Furthermore, he did rob Nicholas of Breeze and of his horse and did sell it in Pribom. Furthermore, with Marzik Hudec and with Michał, they did steal 3 bullocks. Also, he did steal the cloak of the goodwife of Zhviekovic. He also told that Shepkov, son of Andrei of Strazovic, did put to fire and burn down the haycocks and the byre of Priek the stableman. He told too that Michalec and his accomplices, they did take 2 horses by Mnichovic, and that Pribek of Neveklov did steal the horse of one Jan from there, and he told that Schlap of Benešov did spy out for them these things and did buy everything from them and gave them the coin. For that and for arson especially shall Telets be drowned. Okay, was drowning a customary punishment for arson? Because that's sort of sort of an ironic sort of reverse element kind of punishment. Now, arson was actually a very heavy crime. Actually, I'm sort of surprised that he got off so easily, because in the arson was actually worse than murder, because obviously in medieval towns, one arsonist could actually burn like half the town, because it was so easy for houses to catch fire from one another. It was obviously a capital offense, but in the Middle Ages, death in itself was actually a kind of a light punishment. Well, obviously, it was one of the most severe punishments, but within the range of severe punishments, as severe punishments go, death by itself was actually kind of lenient. Like, there was a whole catalogue of sort of qualified cases of death penalty where they were preceded by horrendous torture beforehand, or oftentimes the method of execution itself was torture. Because, for example, if somebody was broken over the wheel, they would have been left, you know, their limbs would have been smashed and like broken, and then they would sort of twist you in between the spokes of a wheel on a stick and leave you there to die slowly. And obviously there was also things like being put on a stake, which could have taken even a couple of days for you to die if it was skillfully done. Because the thing with staking people is that, like, there was a method of doing that where they only very slightly put the the stake in your anus, because that was like a natural orifice of the body, and then they left you on it so that gravity and your own body weight would slowly sink you further onto the actual stake. And like the most sort of desirable from the part of the executioners, the most desirable way the stake should go would be like right next to your spine, and then it would like go out near your, like through your neck, through the side of your neck, because this way it like would miss most of your actual vital organs. Obviously you probably would be dead long before it actually went out the other way, but still you could have been dying for days. So overall he did get off pretty easily, even with being drowned. Kubin, called the Buck, Baron of Milotis, did tell that he did steal the horse of one of the monks in the Striebro in Mita together with Nicholas and Blahut of Klonovic. He did also tell of Levets and his son Jan that they did kill the bailiff of Holubkov, and that they commit robberies together. And he did declare of Gregor, brother of Nicholas, that he did rob them with him, and they did kill a merchant and steal his valuables. Kubin did lead them in this, and did kill and rob with them. As a lord and baron of Lipa, he was put to death by the sword. Yeah, because there was also different punishments for different like social status. Obviously hanging was specifically a form of death penalty reserved for commoners. It was dishonorable in itself to be hanged. So that's why this guy, who was a noble, he has earned a death penalty, but it was a different kind, because it says here, as a lord, he was put to death by the sword, because that was seen, beheading was seen as a more noble form of execution compared to hanging. Martin, called Stag, did testify that he did rob a merchant on his way home from Mason, and that having once taken the trade of thieving, he decided to continue with it in the province together with his accomplice, called Jan Masar. To help them in their evil-doing, did they kill 3 pregnant women in Hrudim and in other towns, and did cut from them the fetuses, from which they cut out their hearts, lungs and liver, and did cook them in the Devil's Inn in Bohemia and devour them, according to the testimony of Martin the Stag of Bitesh, to give great boldness to their hearts and keep them long in their evil-doing. For this they have earned death many times over. Their flesh will be ripped, their eyes burned out, and they shall be broken on the wheel. Yeah, so that's, for example, that's an example of a qualified death penalty, because there's like a long series of torture preceding the actual execution, and even the execution itself is sort of prolonged, because they were broken over the wheel and then left to die there, which could have also taken quite a long time, because obviously you would mostly die from depending on what has been done to you before, a combination of blood loss, infection, and also things like heat, heat stroke, and maybe also thirst or something. Anna, called Zorena of Strachowitz, did testify that she did kill her child and urged her neighbor Jan Kostin to murder her husband. He did then sell the oxen with her help, and they conspired to take the farm for their own use. Anna, called Zorena, was buried alive and a stake driven through her heart, that she would not return from the grave to the world as a revenant. Okay, that's interesting. That was an actual custom. People in the Middle Ages were, for example, binding the legs or the hands of some of the corpses to prevent them, to make it more difficult for them to claw out of their graves should they rise from the dead. But I'm not sure why did they even imply, because I'm pretty sure there had to be specific circumstances about someone's death to believe that they would even rise from the dead. I'm not quite sure what's up with that Anna. Why did they think that she specifically would come back as a revenant? Tonda, a farmhand of Vlashim on Holy Saturday, did testify under trial by ordeal that he did ride with Lubosz called Limpy of Użyc, and they did rob wayside shrines. He did testify that by Talmberg they did rob 5 horses of the Bailiff, from which they did take valuables worth 5 groschen, and that there was present too one Hinek called Riki. He furthermore testified that they did keep company and dwell with Hinek in the woods around Ledeczko. For theft, Tonda is sentenced to have his ear cut off. Okay, so that was about the merry band of miscreants from that I have actually met. Okay, this goes back here. So let's talk with the scribe. Although I guess there's still, I think, one more chest right here. I don't think I'm going to pick it. It's pretty close to him.
God save you.
The bailiff sent me.
That's another matter, then. What do you need, friend?
Is it possible to find out from the records where someone lives?
You think we keep records of every serf? For Christ's sake, they breed like rabbits.
But I thought that in the Rathaus, though, in the books...
Boy, the books are for recording pacts, undertakings, punishments, property rights, and so forth. In other words, important things. We don't keep records of serfs.
Eliskha won't be happy about that.
Elishka? You don't mean the one who married into the Mishek family?
Yes. Yes, you know her.
Why wouldn't I? I used to play dice with old Mishek years ago. He had a son. A nice, polite lad. How is he?
Well, he's dead.
Oh, you know, he's quite tied up these days.
Well, if you see him, tell him to swing by.
And where are the Misheks living now?
He's already swinging.
A stone's throw from Rattay by the small fish pond.
Thanks.
See you later.
Okay, by the small fish pond, you say? Okay, that's indeed very close.
My humble greetings. How may I help you?
I've got information about your daughter-in-law.
Elishka's fine, only she needs...
Never heard of her. Get lost.
She's your nearest kin. Elishka's part of your family, and she really needs you.
I won't help anyone.
To be honest, I feel like at this point, it might actually be better for her to live with the executioner, should she want that. 'Cause sure, they would be social pariahs, but if they would love each other, I think that's preferable to living with someone from your extended family who hates you and only took you in because a random wealthy stranger bribed them into doing that. But I will I will provide that option for Elishka, and then hopefully the game will let her choose.
I could make it worth your while.
Really? And what is it you want?
Your son's widow needs help. She has nowhere to go.
What do I care about some useless girl?
She could help you with the farm. She definitely knows how to take care of things.
A bit of help would come in handy. Send her here, then. But don't let her think she'll be taking it easy. She'll have her work cut out.
That sounds quite...
And if I hear a peep out of her, I'll take a stick to her back.
Fine salvation this is.
Yeah, right? So, I hope the quest will still give me some leeway. Yeah, decide what she should do. Like, I really think being with the executioner might be preferable should she really want that. If she likes him, which I assume she must like him at least a little bit if she hangs around his house all the time, then maybe she would be more happy than living with that grumpy old hag who clearly only wants to take her in because she wants to use her as cheap labor. She actually directly threatened to beat her. So I don't think it's such a great opportunity, really. Oh. Okay, so the bridge should be somewhere nearby. Okay, I'm actually probably not even here. I'm over here instead. What is this? It's like in the middle between a couple of roads, but there's so many of them that I don't quite know which tree it might be referring to, and I can't like spot it in the actual tree. let's see with relation to that shrine. Yeah, I guess those must be Kickstarter backers, because they even have nicknames. So, right now, I am over here with my back turned, so I should be going like right, and then right again in a patch of land between this and the other road. So, right. Okay, it might be kind of stuck, which I'm not going to lie, would infuriate me quite a bit. Yeah, I must say. Unless the other path is right here, and this is the right path, and then the patch of land is actually between here and the road further to the right. But even that seems unlikely, because there is no particularly large tree in the middle of that. You know what? Screw that. I think, you know, whatever is there in the nest, it's probably not worth it at this point. Like, I have a bajillion groschen, which I hardly know what to do about at this point in the game, because the armor and weapons that I could buy are, you know, no longer better than what I already have.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Elishka's looking better.
She is, but she's not happy. God sent the poor girl great trials.
Indeed.
Did you know her whole family was wiped out by the plague? She was barely 12.
Losing your family isn't easy.
Ah, sorry, I wasn't thinking. So, did you find out anything about that kin of hers?
I have. I tracked them down. They say they'd take her in, but I'm not sure she'd do well there.
Leave that to her. I just hope she'll be better off than now.
God watch over you, good knight, especially in these dark times. Can I do something for you?
You're not crying now?
I'm not. I've wept enough for a lifetime.
It's a bit of a change since my last visit.
I haven't had much luck in my life, but I've always worked things out in the end. Tears are no help to anything.
That's true.
So, did you find out something about them?
I did. I found your husband's father and mother, and they're willing to take you in.
But...
They're not very nice people, Elishka. They'd probably work you to the bone. But you would get fed.
Life is never easy. But at least I'd have a family.
Yeah, I think she might be better off with him. If they really do eventually love each other, then you can. Obviously, it's a bit different for me because I am a person with a very sort of tight social circle. You know, I have few friends, and I'm generally okay with it because I'm like strongly introverted, and I actually dislike large gatherings of people. But I sincerely believe it is possible to be happy with just your loved ones, because you love them. You know you want to share your life with that person. So like it shouldn't be that bad if you really do love them. Even if you only have each other. I'm not going to tell her she should go to her family. If she decides she wants to, then okay. But I don't think I should sort of point her in that direction, because I generally don't believe she would necessarily be better off.
You're right. I'll have another talk with Herman.
Take care.
I've heard the way you talk about her, and would you like Eliskha to stay?
You know, Hal, she was always the sweetest girl. When she came with her family to Rattay, still single, she was a sight to behold. And it might surprise you, but she even had a word or two for me now and again. It grieved me when she married that wastrel. It was a foolish idea, but I always thought maybe she and I could... Well, fate likes a good laugh. Now I've strung up her old man. I have her under my roof. After all the years I was thinking of her. I don't want her to leave, but I don't want her to be unhappy here either.
Yeah, but I don't think she necessarily would be. At least compared to living with some old hag who has only taken her in because she wants free labor out of her.
Have you made your mind up?
I can't decide. I don't know Mishik's-kin at all, but at least I'd have a family.
I think she should stay. Like, it's a bit warped how she says, at least I'll have a family, because she can form her own family with him if they really do respect each other and love each other. It's going to be hard, especially if they do want to have children, as he said, because their whole sort of bloodline is going to be like cursed from the fact he's the executioner and everyone considers him unclean, but and dishonorable. But I do believe in what I said, that you can enjoy life with your loved ones because they are your loved ones. That's what love is about, is spending time together and sharing life with each other. So even if they have few friends outside of that, I think it's preferable to staying with your extended family who actually in reality kind of hate you.
Herman could give you a family too.
He's a decent, upright fellow. I've met none better, and that's the honest truth. But he's an executioner.
And what's the problem? That the other women won't chat with you down at the creek? Did that sort of gossip ever interest you anyway? He's a fine man, isn't he? He's willing to take care of you, and he has the means to do it. And he wants you. He's so sick with love for you, he can't even sleep.
But did he really say that?
He told me he's been in love with you for years. He said he always thought you were the sweetest girl in Rattay.
That's true. We used to meet now and again and exchange a few words. Well, he always treated me nicely. By all that's holy. You're right. I'll stay here. Goodbye. Herman?
Yes?
Can I stay here with you?
You mean for good?
If you don't want me to.
You can! By God, you can! You've made me the happiest man in the world.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm sort of heartwarmed, even by that short cutscene already. I think they should be alright.
Thank you, Henry. I've a feeling with Herman I can finally find some happiness.
You will. The two of you are made for each other.
Thank you, Hal. Thank you.
Think nothing of it. The main thing is, everything worked out well.
It did, thank you. And I want you to have this. God almighty. I've got Elishka. After all these years, me, the executioner, has the woman he loves.
Okay. I wish you all good.
Yeah.
Well, I trampled you on the way out, but, you know, I did what I could to help. Now, this episode has been long enough, so I am going to drink Savior Schnapps. And end it here. That's all for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!